friends. It's melee time again. I've dropped the mage for now. Donned my heavy, well actually medium armor. I'm putting on, no, light armor. I'm going light armor because I'm going to be out in the open world. So I figured I'm going to need that mobility. And I'm going to be running around with a greatsword. And a hatchet, which I'm trying to find. There we go, hatchet. And so this will be it for a little bit. So the goal at this stage is to get the weaponsmithing up to 100 so I can make my gear score 500, greatsword, and sword and shield. And so that's the goal. This is an Ironman, PVP Ironman, so I have to stay flagged the whole time unless I'm queuing for a dungeon, in which case you have to be PvE flagged. And no trading on the trading house. I have a duo partner, Leo, who's also doing the Ironman, so we can trade with each other. So far, we haven't needed to trade with each other, but in this one, I actually lean on that a little bit more, so you'll see us trade with each other a little bit more. Honestly, weaponsmithing was the most horrible one to level up. I didn't mind leveling up Arcana, it felt like a reasonable amount of time, and I didn't mind leveling up Armoring, but weaponsmithing is a real test of your mental endurance, let me tell you. And I was quite lucky too, because I've been having, like, they seem to have removed all the bots, so in this one I had a really good iron run. I think I got literally almost every iron piece along that run. So even though I've been doing really good and getting lots of iron, it was rough. I had to do a lot of iron runs. So I'll show you some of the pain that I had to go through to get to 100. I've added to my iron run repertoire this zone in Brightwood, which is like a little area where all the NPCs hang out. Honestly, I do think these are the best areas for getting iron because no one ever wants to go and fight, especially the bots. So you get a lot more resources if you're willing to go there. And so I come in here, and it's kind of a double whammy because you get some of the mats, which it's just been a real bottleneck for me getting these mats. Yeah, I never seem to have enough, and for weaponsmithing it's even worse. So now this bloody arrow person always ruining it. Anyway, so I come in here, I get my mats, and I also get my iron, so that's good. These are the stats that I'm running at the moment. So 100 strength, 50 dex, and 150 con. So that's what I'm going to be running, and I'm wearing light armor. So yeah, just want to get those 500 gear skill weapons because I know with the 5-star it makes such a big difference in terms of damage. So yeah, that's what I want to get, and then I'm going to do a little more leveling to get myself up to 60. A little dumb thing I've been doing when I've been fighting NPCs is just timing my attacks and avoiding all theirs just to get my dodging skills up. All the practice you can get really helps when you actually do get into those duels, so yeah. Then I realised I'm short on wood, because in order to make the weaponsmithing, you need the metal as your primary, but you need wood as well, so I go down, chop down a whole bunch of wood with my new Starbit tools, so it's a lot quicker now. And so after all that effort, hours of collecting, my weaponsmithing goes up 1. Well, almost 2. Welcome to the pain. I actually had this a lot lower. The weaponsmithing was like 70, I think, when I started. So I've been doing a lot of these runs. And I made 17 swords, and it goes up 2 levels. So, yeah, it's pretty painful. So I'm back at it again. Out on my iron run, collecting some of these winter token stuff. I don't know, a lot of people, it's so funny, like I see some people like, oh god, have winter tokens, Christmas event or whatever, who cares? But I'm just kind of like, since I'm doing the Iron Man, like, all this stuff is just epic because I get mats to make my own armor and all that kind of stuff, so I'm totally geeking it out. And as I said, like, my weaponsmithing was around 70 and now it's at 97. I had actually recorded all those videos, but then I updated my drivers on my computer and it messed everything up and I couldn't open any, like, application, so I had to reinstall Windows. By reinstalling Windows, I lost my videos again, so that's like twice now in a video where I've lost some content. Thankfully this one I only lost, like, I didn't lose that much, just the leveling up of the weaponsmithing, so yeah. So I've run out of obsidian flux, so all I could make was 5 longswords. Still not enough. Basically gets me to 99. So I'm just like, oh, and you don't realize I've been doing this for like days at this point. Days. But such is the life as an Iron Manner. And so I head on down to my little spot and I go and collect some of the obsidian flux that I need to get my weaponsmithing up, because that at the moment is 100% the bottleneck. And so you see this guy, and one of the rules is I have to engage with everyone I come across no matter what. He's clearly not that interested, but I have to fight him. And yeah, doing decent damage even with not a good greatsword, so I finish him off pretty quick. So if nothing else, it shows the damage of the greatsword. Okay, so these are where I put my attribute points. Hatchet's kind of obvious. I'm using social distancing, the charge attack, and berserk, of course. And so I just put all the points into that, and this is what I am using for my greatsword. To be honest, I haven't really looked incredibly in detail on the greatsword yet. I guess I've just switched over, but I will do that very shortly. But those are the skills that I'm using. So I find this guy, he's a level 60, and he just hits so hard. You can see how much he chunks my health. So I just have to really think about my strategy. Maybe light armor isn't the right strategy. Maybe medium is, because I only ever fight one person at a time. But I'll figure it out. Just work in progress. So I finally come back with all my flux. I come in. And then I make my long swords. And finally, I get myself to 100. Weaponsmithing. So now I can make... It's a long time. My God. So much days of runs. But it's all worth it now. There I am. And I can finally make my weapons. And I'm going to be the most powerful Templar Knight of the Covenant the world has ever bloody seen. But at least that's what I'm going to tell everyone. The one benefit, though, of all this, like, crafting I've been doing and collecting over the last few days is I've actually got most of the mats. Like with the Arcana, I spent half my time getting to 100 and the other half actually collecting the mats to make it. So I guess the advantage is that the time I spent collecting to get to 100 actually also enabled me to get all the mats that I needed. So like it took very little time to actually make the weapons. So you can see that I was a bit short on obsidian flux and charcoal, so I can only make 9 star metal ingot. I need like 12 in order to get it, so I'm kind of hoping that it's going to give me the little bit of extra for once the New World gods bless me. So it's because I'm in the Covenant. And there it is, the Azoth Infused Blade. Pretty decent weapon. It's got Shuriken, Arcane, and Vicious. So it's a good weapon. See me through to level 60. Alright, let's see what this bad boy looks like. Okay, so sort of a hot pink themed greatsword. So if the greatsword wasn't ugly enough, now we're going for a pink theme. Which, although not a bad colour, not the kind of colour I would pick for a sword that's supposed to slay my enemies and smite them to the ground. So, a little disappointing. Still, I'm short on a star metal to make my dowsing blade, which is the sword that I need. So what is a guy to do? So I come down to get some obsidian flux to get that sword, and then I come across this Chad, and he's like, I start madly swinging at him only to realize that I'm still on cooldown. And then he invites me to a duel, which is fair cool. I'm like, okay, well, we don't have to kill each other. Like a duel's fine, you know. I still fight. And he didn't like try to run away, which a lot of people do. So we have a cool duel. So he looks like he's a heavy. He's got a warhammer and sword and shield. I'm light. I've got a hatchet on and a greatsword. Doing what can finally test out the damage on my greatsword. So I'm just trying to kind of make sure that I don't get hit by his stuns, which I managed to get hit by one of his stuns there. Just lay damage into him, and I managed to win. But cool dude, man. At least he fought. And looking at it now, he's a much lower level than me, so I should really have won that fight. So good job. What is a guy to do? I asked. Well, I can either collect the obsidian flux, or I can just get it off my teammate. So we do a little trade. I do give him stuff that he needs as well, but in the end, he did me a solid. So thank you, Leo. You helped me for more hours of collecting. I actually thought he was just giving me star metal ore, but he gave me star metal ingots, bless his heart. So I was able to make the sword straight away. That's it. The new me, the finished product. The hot pink theme definitely rocking on. Got myself a star metal shield and my 2 500 gear score weapons. I'm gonna be unstoppable. This is it, the final look. No more changes. Oh, except for that one when I realized that the kite shield actually makes me as if I'm wearing medium armor when even when I've got all light armor on. So I'm like, okay, well that sucks. So then I have to put my old shield on. So that was a little bit of a buzzkill. I've got my new shield. I'm gonna be unstoppable. I'm gonna be able. You can't wear it. But look at this. Someone can make their own attribute food. So yeah, I'm stepping up in the world. It's not much, but it's a step in the right direction, isn't it? This is it, though. This really is it. Make myself a star metal round shield so I can be light armor, wear a sword and shield. So make that. And that's me running in slow motion with my new shield. And finally, my bank is too full, so I have to take all my cooking? What the hell is that English? Cooking items out of my ever full bank, and I put them into Windswood. So it's finally happening. This is what I've been trying to not get into because I know this is just gonna get worse and worse and worse. But now my cooking is in Windswood and everything else is in Everfull as it currently stands. So then I go get onto the main storyline and I'm collecting your own samples for the Syndicate. I always knew the Syndicate were a piece of piss. Oh yeah, baby, only 10 levels to go. Here's the new attribute points split since I've got the new swords. So I finally finish off the quest, the Syndicate version of the quest, and I'm done with Weaver's Fen. Same again with the Marauders, side of the faction. Gotta go find the missing girl. She's like, oh, she's been missing, but I'm sure she's fine. Spoiler alert, she's not. So I hand that quest in, and then we're off to the next part of the main story quest, which is the depths. But we've been waiting for literally ages to try to get a depths dungeon done. So me and Leos have a little bit of a best out of 3. No, we do 3 duels. He actually scares me a little bit on his bow now because his aiming's been getting so much better. So I thought I was going to get smashed. We were just going to do this one duel, and I rush in there. He's trying to spear attack me. He's just picked up the spear, so he's sort of getting used to it a little bit too. But I'm actually giving it as good as I'm getting it a little bit and get him quite low. So I'm like, okay, this is more promising. Run myself out of stam there, so I'm just easy pickings at that point. Silly, silly. Don't ever run yourself out of stam. I literally tell myself that. I tell that to myself 1,000 times, still do it though. But I'm like, okay, let's do another one because I felt like that was close. Alright, so second fight. I'm a little more confident. And just trying to watch my stamina a bit more this time. And also just trying to dodge his attacks, his spear attacks when I do get in close. I managed to get him with a hit, and then he's under pressure. Oh, it's right down, but I managed to finish him off, so I'm like, okay. Right, so this is the third one. This is the decider. And the ultimate showdown. Melee versus ranged. He manages to get me in a stun and put a lot of damage on me. I poke to the middle of nowhere. Still fairly even. I'm trying to block his attacks. For some reason I just zoom my camera right in, so then it becomes a first person fight. I managed to kind of get him a little bit of a stun. Oh, it's so close. But he manages to pull it through and win. After waiting all day, we finally managed to make it into depths. Yes, if you look down below, you can see Leo's floundering around on the bottom, trying to get up here. I think he eventually just gives up on it and doesn't even bother getting the chest. So, you know, it wouldn't be a dungeon if Leos didn't fall off something now, would it? So you'll notice I put back on my hatchet, so I'm Greatsword Hatchet. And then, yeah, just because I'm wanting to level up the hatchet, and I think when I'm running around in the open world, I'd rather be using the hatchet than the sword and shield. It was a pretty straightforward dungeon, really. The only hairy bit was here, where normally I teleported up to attack those guys on the ledge. But I didn't this time, and the healer was up there, so I wasn't getting the heals. And I kept getting hit by this big AoE. We had a level 60 healer, and these tanks were like, I think level 62. So every time this dude hit me, I was just like, oh my god. So I was doing berserk, I was drinking potions, I was like doing everything I could to keep myself alive. Finally they dropped down a heal. That was the only hairy bit. But then I'm like, you know what? You mess with me, I'm gonna mess with you back now that I've got the healer back, buddy. And we finish him off. The one thing I'm trying to think about is, like, in most MMOs, you know, the tank will usually pull them over to the side like this, and then you just go stand behind the boss and just lay all your DPS into them. But I've noticed, like, a lot of tanks don't do this in here, and, like, it's always just, like, I never really know where to position myself, but I guess as I do more, such basic things will become more evident to me. But other than that, we finish off the dungeon, and I go and look what little treasures I've got from it. I noticed a lot more purple items coming through, so I figured I'd get something good. I got this earring, so that was my first earring I get to put on, and it's pretty good, $4.95, so I put that on. So that was a bit of a win in terms of my item. And then the newer game started to troll me. I got this item, which it's a good item. It's definitely better than what I've got, but I have to look like bloody the Zorro of New World, like I'm some kind of superhero running around, so it's kind of making me look ridiculous, even though I'm more powerful because of it. I also get a new chest piece that I put on, so I got quite a few items, which was good. So on the plus side, I look more powerful than I ever have before. On the downside, I look ridiculous. So we go to fight Jonas as a part of our main story quest, and this would have been harder, but luckily because I had that mask on, he didn't recognize me. Friends, that wraps up another session of the Ironman. Hope you enjoyed it. We've finally got the weaponsmithing to 100, and we're starting to work our way through the main quest. And as we do that, I'll also be trying to get my weaponsmithing up to 150, as well as my armor smithing. Hope you all enjoy it, and I'll leave you with this beautiful music from the Everfellas. Thank you very much.